everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I've been married to a covert narcissist for almost 20 years. I'm separated from him now, and what I do with this channel is I use my real life experiences to get information out there to people about what narcissism really is, what it looks like, what it does to you, and what it does to your family. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some things that you can expect when you are married to a narcissist. Now, nobody marries a narcissist on purpose. In the vast majority of cases, you have no idea you're living with somebody so evil, so depraved, until your life becomes an unendurable nightmare. And then there's usually a process to discovering it. The first thing that happens is you become confused. You wonder, what happened to this person I married? What happened to the person I was dating? Where did they go? The truth is that you married a predator. You are the prey, they are a predator, and they were targeting you. So like any hunter, they have to lure their target in with bait. So you were baited, you were love bombed. They laid it on thick. You believed that this person was somebody that they were never. A narcissist is a fake person. That's how they get anybody in their life. Who they really are on their own is an empty vessel. They don't have any emotional capacity. They don't have any empathy. They don't have the ability to love. They can't be a real friend to anybody. So what they do is they just love bomb people. They pretend to be somebody else. And if you're in a romantic relationship with them, if you're married to somebody like this, they're using you. So they give you what they think you want, so they'll shower you with affection, with gifts, with love at the beginning of the relationship. It's all false. They're doing it just the same way that a hunter will trap a bait, so picture like a little mouse, here you are, you're a little mouse, you're walking around. Oh, look at that. There's some peanut butter in that too. I think I'll go in there. Slam, they have you. So they've baited you. So they're giving you, instead of peanut butter, they're giving you love. They're giving you the things that you want in a relationship. Once they have you, they're not going to bait the trap anymore. You're going to see who they really are. So once you're in a marriage, particularly, they're not going to keep being this way. You'll start seeing the mask drop, because a narcissist, like any predator, they only give out as much as they have to get what they want. They exert the minimum effort to get maximum results. So if you are in a relationship with somebody like this, particularly if you're an empath, you're going to be all in. You're going to think that this person really loves you and you are committed fully. It's not true on their part, but this is how the relationship begins. So you start becoming confused, and then what will typically happen is you'll start Googling the narcissist behavior. Once you are Googling somebody's behavior, that is a gigantic red flag. Now, I understand you're not going to know this initially because people Google everything. I Google everything. If I'm cooking and I need to understand a measurement, I'll Google it. If I'm doing school with my kids and I want to learn something, I Google it. If I have some medical symptom, I Google it. This is what people do, obviously. And you're going to do this too with anything. So you're in a relationship and you want to know, why is my spouse doing this? You're going to Google it. This is how I discovered narcissism. I was Googling silent treatment. So once you're doing that, it's a huge red flag. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that will be going on when you are married to a narcissist. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is your feelings. They won't matter. A narcissist has no ability or desire to care. A narcissist is completely lacking in empathy. So when I was with my ex, he would see me cry because of something that he did, and he would just literally walk away. Now that has scarred me. Today, I actually have a hard time letting go and crying. It's because I was so scarred in the relationship. But when I was in the relationship, I did cry. And so I would get very upset and he would just completely ignore me. That is something that a narcissist does, because once they have you, I was already married to him. He didn't have any incentive to do anything for me, because what was I going to do? It's not easy to get divorced. He's thinking this, everything that a narcissist does is intentional. They understand what they're doing. They break you down. They just want you to give them supply. They don't care how you feel. Also, a narcissist is never going to be there when you need them. Once they possess you, they're not going to be there. They're not going to pretend to be there. They don't care. If they need something from you, they might do that. But in general, they're just not going to care. One of the worst things that happened to me in my life was secondary infertility. We got pregnant with our daughter right away. We had trouble getting pregnant with our son. Now, I believe now that the reason for this was my husband's alcoholism, but I didn't know this at the time. So I went through fertility treatments, and anybody who's gone through fertility treatments, that is no joke. It is invasive, it's painful, it's traumatizing. So I had to go through a lot of invasive tests, and it came to the conclusion that there was no reason I couldn't get pregnant. There was no cause. They told me, you should definitely be able to get pregnant. There's no reason why you can't get pregnant. We don't know why you're not getting pregnant. So that was a very traumatizing experience. So they had me on all types of drugs to try to get me pregnant. And if you're on fertility drugs, you're incredibly emotional. So I was already distraught because I couldn't get pregnant and I needed to have this baby. So I was already distraught. I wanted to have this baby. And then on top of that, I was given medication to help me ovulate, and I was ovulating like crazy. They were trying to get as many eggs out as possible to give me a maximum chance to get pregnant. So I was really emotional. But what my ex used to do is, so I would be laying in bed crying and praying, and he would go into our daughter's room and start speaking to me on the monitor, pretending he was her. So he would say things like, Mommy, why don't you love me? Why aren't I enough for you? Why do you have to have another baby? Why can't I just be enough for you? It was devastating for me. It was so cruel. Even just for me to tell you this today, it was perverse. And this is what he did. He didn't care. He didn't want to deal with me being emotional. He didn't want to deal with me having any problems. He wanted me to just be like, all right, I'm not getting pregnant. That's fine. I already have my daughter. That's all I need. That's what he wanted. He was never supportive. It devastates me and it makes me sick today. And I really, really am upset that I put up with this type of behavior. But this is what I did. I didn't even think at that point of leaving the relationship. I was just devastated and distraught. But this is the type of thing you're going to get from a sadistic person. It was cruel. There was a time when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I used to get these terrible migraine headaches. They were horrible, and I had medication that helped, but when I was pregnant, I couldn't take the medication. So at one point, I had this migraine, and it lasted for days and days. So I called my doctor at one point, because I was like, is there any medication I can take? Can I take anything that's not going to harm the baby? And so she told me, you know what, this is a problem. You really shouldn't have this headache for this long. I want you to go to the hospital and make sure you don't have meningitis. So you need to get a spinal tap. So I had to go to the hospital to get a spinal tap. So I called my ex at work and I was like, I need to go to the hospital to get a spinal tap. Can you please meet me there? He didn't come. He told me that he couldn't. He'd try to come later, and he did come later, but he didn't leave his desk and go to the hospital when his pregnant wife was having a spinal tap. I mean, this is the type of thing. There's no heart, no care, no concern. If you're with somebody that does this type of thing, don't do what I did and ignore it and just feel like you don't have, you have no worth. So your own husband, your own wife shouldn't be there for you. This is what I did, and I really have an issue with how I behaved at the time, because I never should have put up with it, but I did, and these were things that really happened. You're with somebody like this, eventually your expectations are going to dwindle, and they will be barely palpable. Realistically, if you're in a marriage with somebody, you should be able to expect love, honor, commitment, responsibility, honesty, all these things from your spouse. But when you're with a narcissist, your self-worth will become so decimated that you will end up being grateful for scraps being thrown your way. You'll be grateful that you're not given a silent treatment, or you're grateful that the person didn't cheat on you. You will expect nothing. You will receive nothing. You will become utterly defeated, and you're going to end up losing yourself completely. You end up being trained to focus exclusively on the narcissist. You'll be a shell of the person that you were. If any of you have ever seen the Hunger Games, I feel like if you picture the districts, the people, they had this drudgery lifestyle, everything was gray and miserable. That's your life when you're with a narcissist. There's no joy. Somebody else is controlling everything that you do. At any time, they could decide that you have to do something and you have no choice but to do it. You're just a miserable, sad, pathetic person. That's exactly how the narcissist wants you to be. You're also going to end up dealing with crazy making behavior. Narcissists have an ability to go crazy with rage. They'll give you the silent treatment, blame you for everything, and then act like nothing happened. When I was first with my ex, there was at one point we got into a fight over some people in his fraternity. We had an issue with his fraternity when we were first together because he was out of college by a few years and he was still obsessed with his fraternity. He wanted to do all this fraternity stuff. He didn't want to do anything with anybody that wasn't in the fraternity. So he didn't want to do anything with my friends. I had a friend of mine who was recently married and I wanted to go out as like couples. He didn't want to do that because they weren't in the fraternity. It really bothered me. So at one point we got in a fight over this. I don't remember exactly why we got in a fight, but we were in a fight. And in the middle of the night, he got up, he went to the kitchen and he got a bunch of knives and he told me he was going to go kill somebody in the fraternity. I didn't know what to do. It was one of the craziest things that had ever happened in my life. I can remember sitting on my kitchen counter, terrified. I was sitting there biting my nails, wringing my fingers. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should call the police. I was afraid to call the police because I didn't think he was really going to do it, but I didn't know. He went out with all these knives. It was terrifying. So I'm sitting there freaking out, praying. I didn't know what to do. I was paralyzed with fear. He comes back an hour later, like nothing happened. He just walks in the kitchen. I'm still sitting on the countertop, freaking out. I was chain smoking cigarettes. I was horrified. So he walks in, puts the knives away, and went to bed. That's somebody who is not mentally there, somebody who doesn't have themselves together. And if you are seeing this type of thing, because I'm telling you this, these are real things that happened. It's horrifying to me that I put up with this. Do not put up with this behavior. This is why I have my channel. A lot of the things that I tell you are personally embarrassing to me, but I tell you because I want to help other people not make these mistakes. If you are with somebody that is acting crazy, do not stay in a relationship with somebody like this. You end up feeling stuck and unable to leave when you're in these narcissistic relationships, but it's not true. And if you go to counseling, oftentimes counseling will backfire on you. And it's important to remember, you do not have a relationship issue. Your partner has a mental illness. I went to counseling with my ex and it ended up working out okay for me, but I'm one of the rare ones. I was really lucky, really blessed that this happened. The counselor took me aside and said to me, "Why are you with this guy?" This is what happened to me, but a lot of times a narcissist can convince the counselor that you are the problem, that there's not an issue in the relationship outside of you expecting too much, outside of you being mentally unwell. The narcissist is just fine, and they are able, because they're good actors, they're able oftentimes to get the counselor on their side. I was very lucky. I've been incredibly blessed with a lot of people in my life that saw my ex for who he really was. If I didn't have that, I don't know where I would be today. So be very careful about going to counseling with somebody that you suspect is a narcissist. Now, leaving a narcissist is a brutal thing. It's not going to be a normal breakup. In particular, if you're married, you have to go through a divorce. There's the expense of that, and you've been so decimated. But I'm telling you, if you are with a narcissist, you really don't have any choice. I'm in this process right now. I'm hoping right now I'm separated from my ex. We're not divorced. I'm going to try to get the ball rolling this summer, and I'll be making lots of videos about it. It's going to be a process, but I want to get free. And any of us who are in relationships like this, the goal ultimately should be getting free. A narcissist has no right to control you. They're going to continue to do it. It's not going to stop. I have a great quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He lives in my heart. If you board the wrong train, it's no use running along the corridor in the other direction. If you are with a narcissist, you've boarded the wrong train. The only thing that you can do is get off and start over. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I'm very grateful. I appreciate everybody's support. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if all goes well, I will see you on Monday. I hope everybody has a great weekend. God bless you.